For years, we've all been wondering when AI would cross that terrifying line, going from just assisting soldiers to actually replacing them. Well, I'm here to tell you the wait is officially over. Fully autonomous lethal drones have already successfully engaged and eliminated targets on the battlefield, and they did it without a single human pulling the trigger. You're watching Tech Clips 46. Today, we're bringing you a full, impartial explainer investigating exactly how algorithmic warfare actually works on the ground right now. We're going to separate the sci-fi from the cold, hard facts, looking at the confirmed tech reshaping the battlefield today and the profound, game-changing shifts coming tomorrow. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Confirmed military capabilities. The offensive arsenal. To really grasp the modern battlefield, you have to wrap your head around this concept: hyperwar. By smashing together AI, autonomous systems, and next-gen sensors, warfare is literally being compressed to machine speed. In places like Ukraine, dense walls of drones have carved out these de facto no-man's lands. We're talking about robotic kill zones extending 6 miles deep on either side of the front line. Human reflexes? They're simply too slow to survive in that space without algorithmic help. A perfect example of this confirmed hardware is the U.S. Marines' new Bolt M loitering munition. This thing has a confirmed range of 12.5 miles. It's essentially a kamikaze drone, packing a modular explosive payload of up to 3 pounds that operators can actually swap out right there in the field. Using onboard GPS and waypoint navigation, the drone basically flies itself. That means human operators can focus on, surviving and traversing hostile terrain rather than staring at a screen trying to pilot an aircraft. But here's the catch. What happens when the enemy jams that GPS or completely severs the cloud connection? Well, militaries have already adapted. They're shifting away from relying on cloud compute and moving straight to edge AI. Because electronic warfare can completely block a drone's connection to its pilot, these systems now carry their own onboard algorithmic brains. This edge AI lets the drone process data, navigate, and even execute a final strike sequence entirely on its own. It literally just ignores the jamming happening all around it. Section 2. Expert analysis. Autonomous drone swarms. Now, shifting from single drones to swarms, listen to this chilling expert account. Back in April, after a U.S. F-15 pilot ejected over Iran, he described seeing an unclassified swarm of drones interconnected and moving as one. He said it looked like a giant jellyfish with smaller drones hanging below the main body. This set off a massive intelligence debate. Was this just a pre-programmed barrage of drones flying fixed routes, or was it true mesh-networked autonomy? Were these drones communicating, adapting, and reacting to threats collectively in real time? That is the terrifying question intelligence agencies are scrambling to answer right now. Moving on to Section 3, confirmed military capabilities, the counter-drone defense. So, how exactly do militaries defend their infrastructure against these incursions? The modern counter-UAS layered defense stack basically runs on a 4-step process. First, you've got 3D radar detecting an anomaly. Second, electro-optical and infrared cameras lock on and track the object. Third, and this is the absolutely crucial part, AI recognition identifies it. You see, AI sensor fusion is literally the only way to suppress false alarms at scale. It instantly distinguishes a hostile quadcopter from, say, a bird or a friendly drone. And finally, step 4, a decision is made to defeat the threat. But how do you defeat a drone that isn't even listening to a remote control? Traditional radio frequency jamming is rapidly becoming obsolete against these new fiber optic and autonomous edge AI drones. Why? Because they simply don't emit a command signal for you to jam. This is forcing defenders to rely on entirely new methods. We're talking kinetic options like physical interceptor robots and nets, or directed energy weapons. Think high-powered lasers and microwaves that literally fry or physically destroy the autonomous threat midair. Now, what's really interesting here is Section 4, expert analysis, the algorithmic brain. When we talk about the algorithmic brain, we can clearly break weapon autonomy down into 3 tiers. First, you have semi-autonomous systems. These keep a human in the loop to actually select and engage targets. Then you have supervised systems. These place the human on the loop. The machine operates itself, but the human acts as a supervisor who can step in and veto an attack. And finally, fully autonomous systems. These take the human completely out of the loop. The machine independently selects and engages. And experts are warning us right now, the technological drift toward these out-of-the-loop systems is happening gradually and indistinctly, eroding the human role step by step. Section 5. Legal debates, AI target recognition and bias. Handing target recognition over to an algorithm brings up some profound ethical, legal, and humanitarian risks. As impartial observers, it is absolutely vital we look at the concerns raised by international watchdogs. Take the official findings from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, or SIPRI. They provide a really sobering look at how bias in military AI directly impacts international humanitarian law. Their research makes one thing crystal clear: no AI system will ever be entirely free of bias. So, what actually causes this harmful bias? Well, it all comes down to data. If an AI system is trained on an incomplete dataset, it creates deadly proxy indicators. For example, an algorithm trained purely on specific combat patterns might wrongly flag a civilian celebrating with gunfire as an active combatant. Or if a dataset underrepresents certain demographics, the AI might completely fail to recognize civilians in wheelchairs, literally classifying them as background noise instead of protected human beings. And then there's battlefield data drift. As the environment changes, the AI's initial training no longer matches reality. This matters to all of us because these systems have to accurately interpret the messy, unpredictable civilian world we live in. Which brings up a massive legal issue. As SIPRI notes, algorithmic bias isn't just a technical glitch. It's a direct threat to the actual laws of war, specifically the legal principles of distinction and proportionality. Think about it. If a machine cannot reliably distinguish between a soldier and a civilian, deploying it could inadvertently constitute a war crime. Let's look at how governments are handling this in Section 6, Official Government Statements in the UN Response. So, how are global governments and international bodies actively responding to these ethical dilemmas? The reality is, they're remarkably stalled. I mean, the United Nations easily came together in the past to ban weapons like cluster bombs and blinding lasers. But here, 14 years of debates regarding lethal autonomous weapons have failed to produce a single international ban. The technology has simply raced way ahead of the diplomacy. Now contrast that international stall with official government policies that are pushing the tech forward. The U.S. Department of Defense, for example, is developing SwarmForge. This program focuses on heterogeneous swarming, meaning it mixes completely different types of drones from various manufacturers, along with decentralized control and end-to-end autonomy. Yet, interestingly enough, their official directive still strictly demands that these systems maintain meaningful human command. It's a massive contradiction that engineers somehow have to balance against the blistering speed of machine warfare. Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 7. Future projections, data, and combat velocity. Okay, we're shifting now from the present reality into strict, expert-backed future projections of where this AI drone war is heading. Make no mistake, the future of war is software-defined. Hardware, that's becoming secondary. The victor of the next major conflict will be whoever builds the most robust, real-world combat data libraries to train their algorithms. Ukraine, for instance, has already accumulated one of the most valuable data clusters in military history, using thousands of labeled real-world examples to train AI to recognize targets flawlessly. We are entering what experts are calling the compute war. To put this into perspective, global data production is expected to reach an astonishing 180 zettabytes by 2025. This data is literally the new physical terrain of war. And this directly impacts your everyday life because the lines between civilian digital infrastructure and military capability are blurring fast. We've already seen an alarming precedent set when Iranian drones deliberately struck civilian Amazon Web Services data centers in the UAE. It proves that in an algorithmic war, commercial server farms are just as critical as ammunition depots. To summarize this explainer, we really need to maintain a clear journalistic separation between today and tomorrow. Loitering munitions, edge AI, and complex layered counter-drone defenses, those are confirmed present-day realities on the battlefield. But massive, interconnected, autonomous swarms and entirely human out-of-the-loop lethal architectures, those remain expert future projections for the end of the decade. They are currently being tested and fiercely debated in labs around the world. Which brings us to our final thought. The technology to create an autonomous drone that can hunt and kill without human intervention can practically be assembled today using cheap, off-the-shelf parts. If that's the case, is a fragile sense of human ethics the only thing holding the world back from a fully automated war? It's a profound question of human responsibility versus machine speed. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer. To keep exploring the future of defense technology with us, make sure to subscribe to Tech Clips 46. We'll see you in the next one.